I love being divorced. Every year has been better than the last. And it's the only time I can say that about. And by the way, I'm not saying don't get married. If you meet somebody, fall in love and get married. And then get divorced. Because that's the best part. It's the best part. Marriage is just like a larva stage for true happiness. Which is divorce, because you just let go. And everything's fine now. Divorce is forever. It really actually is. Marriage is for how long you can hack it. But divorce just gets stronger like a piece of oak. Nobody ever says, oh, my divorce is falling apart, it's over, I can't take it.
If there's one thing I've been most passionate and cautious about in my life, it's marriage. There's a common misconception that half of all marriages end in divorce. It's really more like a third, but people love to be dramatic, myself included. But 33% is still a staggering number. If a third of all the people who went camping this year got viciously mauled by a bear, there'd be far less people loading up their Subaru with fresh gear from REI next year. Yet people walk down the fateful aisle in droves every spring, seemingly without a care in the world for what their future may hold. I swear my point isn't to bum you out or cast a cynical gaze upon the institution of marriage. I'm actually a huge romantic at heart, but I'm worried about our culture of present and future lovers. Currently, 78% of adults have been married at least once, and over 20% of adults have been divorced. More than half the country is married, and all but 5% have never been married and say they don't want to be. That means marriage is a staggeringly universal aspiration for the most part, yet when realized has a tendency to end in a ripple effect of broken relationships, bitterness, and despair. But why? Why is marriage so popular, powerful, and devastating? I think one of the ways to understand how powerful something is to take it apart, to break it. Take the atom, for example. It's not until we split the atom and created the atom bomb that we understood the power of this building block, which undergirds all creation. This is the part where I lose anyone who didn't grow up in a religious environment or doesn't currently swim in that Christ-centered spiritual pool. My apologies. 84% of Christian adults get married. 84%. That means you're an incredible outsider if you never marry. That's insane to me because the man who has shaped the bulk of my faith these past 5 years is a 71-year-old never married man. He's wiser than any other dude I know in this world, yet even he has been treated as though his life is not yet complete. That, to me, is the pressure that drives couples to wed who have no business handling the pressure, pain, and responsibility of marriage. One of my major theories is that in Christian and religious cultures, marriage is equated with wholeness. You are not a fully developed adult until you've locked down that perfect, hot, and holy partner God created for you. This, in my mind, is the essential ingredient in idolatry. I know that's like a super Christianese word, but go with me because I think it's a really powerful way to label what happens when we set up one good thing as an ultimate thing. To circle back to the popularity of divorce, I think the reason why divorce rates and marriage rates are so high is because we've neglected friendship. I think if we aimed at friendship, some of us would be fortunate enough to land in marriage rather than the other way around, where people get married because they have no friends. Ultimately, my point is that I think marriage is so difficult that very few people should do it, mainly people who understand that committing to a person means committing to being hurt, lied to, potentially cheated on, and or generally fucked over in any number of ways. And I get it. I haven't been married, I don't understand the pain of divorce, but I have watched my parents separate twice in my lifetime and spend years apart from one another, sitting just inches away from filing divorce papers. I've seen and felt a family fractured by addiction, deception, and abuse. So I get that much. And I know it doesn't take a Bible verse for you to understand that God, or anyone else for that matter, doesn't wish that on anyone. One last thought. Celibacy. Part of what you hear in Janet's story is that sexual purity plays a big part in waiting for the ideal Christian marriage. You'll also hear that infidelity played a crucial role in breaking up that Christian marriage. I can't count the number of times I've heard this story. I believe an overemphasized esteem for sexual activity is one of the most devastatingly cancerous misunderstandings in the Christian church today. There's so much more to say on this topic, but we'll get to that in the next episode with our friend Johan. Anyway, let's get back to Janet's story.